Well, good morning. Um, it's my turn to share a little something with you this week, and I was thinking back to when we first moved here up to Prince George about 10 years ago, and the very first time that we went in the doors of Lakes Community Church. And I can remember a couple of things there. I can remember Henry's smiling face and warm greeting. And the other thing that I seem to remember for some reason is Myrna and her worship team, and they were doing, in one of the sets, they did I'll Fly Away. And I don't know if I'd heard that before. If I had, it hadn't meant something to me until that day, but just listening to those words, I remember at the time not being a believer and thinking, one fine day when my life is over, I'll fly away. And I thought, boy, that's a pretty neat idea. And so today I'd like to talk a little bit about the promise of heaven. Okay, well, the reason I wanted to talk today about the promises of heaven is, believe it or not, because of a show, a TV show that I saw on Netflix. And I guess I'm guilty of maybe watching a little bit too much Netflix during this pandemic time, but I came across this show and it was called Upload. And the premise of the show is it takes place in the future. By the way, I'm not kind of recommending the show. It's not a great show, but it did get me thinking about the promise of heaven. So in this show called Upload, in the future, if you have money, you can have your brain scanned, and everything that's in your brain, your memories, your thoughts, everything becomes a digital file. And then when you die, they can take this file and put it into this sort of reality world thing where it seems like you're still alive and you can experience all sorts of things. And there's different levels in this, the different companies that offer this service. So the more money you have, the better afterlife you can have. And the ultimate place is called Blue Haven or something like that. And when you go there, if you've paid enough money, then you get to experience just all kinds of wonderful things. So of course that's where everybody wants to go. And in the show, there's this young lady that works for this fancy place, and so she really thinks this is a great thing, and she wants this for her dad, and her dad's dying of cancer. And so she's trying to find a way to get enough money to be able to afford this for her dad. And of course she gets like a discount, employee discount. But her dad will have nothing to do with it. Her dad says, I know exactly where I'm going when I die, and it's to heaven. And the daughter's, Dad, come on, you don't really believe that there's an actual place called heaven? And the dad says, yeah, I do, for sure. And so there's this sort of thing going on between them, and she's trying to get him this thing that he doesn't really want. Anyway, I thought that was a pretty interesting story concept to think that it's similar to, I guess, to a lot of what goes on in our world today, where people strive for all sorts of things. They're kind of missing the obvious. So here all these people want to somehow save enough money to get into this digital afterlife, when right in front of them is the promise of eternal life from Jesus, if they would only look and accept that. And so there's just a few scriptures that I'd like to share with that thought in mind. And it might take me a sec here to find them, but we'll go to in Luke 23. Remember when Jesus is on the cross and there's the prisoner beside him that says, I deserve to, this fate because I am a criminal, but you, Jesus, you don't. And can you remember me when when you're in your kingdom? And actually what it says here is Then he said, Jesus, remember me when you come into your kingdom. And Jesus replies and says, I assure you, today you will be with me in paradise. So that's a neat thought. John 14, Jesus says, don't let your hearts be troubled. Trust in God and trust also in me. There is more than enough room in my Father's home. If it were not so, I would have told you that I'm going to prepare a place for you. When everything is ready, I will come and get you so that you will be always with me where I am. So that's another great promise about heaven. And finally, this one I really have always liked, because just as in the show, these people are going, oh wow, this could be a really good thing for me to have this better place to perhaps go to, when I'm no longer here. Well, in the Bible it talks about real heaven, and it says, no eye has seen, no ear has heard, no mind has even imagined what God has prepared for those who love him. So it's that fantastic that we can't, as hard as we might try, we can't imagine what it's going to be like. So it must be pretty good. So I like that thought, and I like it a lot better than this made up idea that people might think that they might like. This is real. It's real heaven, and we should look forward to being there.